Hey, how's it going, Endless fans? Will Curran back again with another Whiteboard Wednesday, and today we're talking about how in-house AV commissions work. Recently, Brent Kruger and I were doing a session at Connect, and we actually had doing a session called our AV Smackdown, where basically it's third-party AV, basically me, versus the in-house AV company, who will be not named in this case, and Brent kind of moderates us right down the middle. Well, in those conversations, you learn a lot about as far as how each business model is structured, and one of the big things that we talk about is that most people don't understand is how these in-house AV commissions work, and some people don't even know that they exist. So I wanted to kind of explain what that looks like and essentially understand why people tend to think that in-house AV companies are a little bit more expensive. So let's talk about this really quick. So for those who don't really understand, a lot of times the in-house AV company is contracted by the hotel in a relationship that allows them to kind of work together. Most people understand that, right? But most people understand that there's a little bit of a commission system that goes on. So let me explain how that works. First of all, the way the process works is that a hotel will say, we want to have an in-house AV company for convenience for our clients, so we always have someone to go to. We always want to make sure that if there are any last minute changes or needs, the hotel usually doesn't want to manage that. So usually they contract an actual company to come in and do their AV. So in this case, it's done through a bid process. Similar to the way that you look for vendors, they will actually look and say, hey, we want an in-house AV company. Here we'll send out bids to who does in-house AV and who wants to bid on it. The way that's usually structured is the relationship works that the in-house AV company will have some sort of equipment on site, maybe some sort of staffing, an office on site, and therefore they will also work closely with their clients, and in return the hotel will share their client with them. So as soon as you sign the hotel contract, they say, hey, I'm going to introduce you to John at the AV company, in-house AV company. What most people don't understand, though, is that there's usually a commission that gets built into this. So the way this works is that when the hotel shares this business with the AV company is usually, and again, this all depends on property to property, 100%, but usually the AV company will then give a kickback of a commission back to the hotel for that business. So that incentivizes the hotel to give them business, so then that way they get money back. So if you're ever wondering why there's a lot of incentive for the hotel to work with the in-house AV company, now you understand why, is with these kickbacks. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, cool, that makes sense, right? They're sharing business. Why wouldn't they share some sort of revenue with it? Well, sometimes these commission structures can vary. They can be as low as 5%. However, in having conversations with in-house AV companies, with planners who were intimate with these topics, we heard numbers as high as 60% for these commission rates. I heard 70% even once, and that's super duper high. So that means 70% of whatever the in-house AV company is doing in revenue is being kicked back to the hotel. So great for the hotel, they're making an additional form of revenue, but what that means for the AV companies, they're making less money. So therefore, they have to charge more. So you can start to see how this in-house commission can sort of affect the pricing. And what basically allows is kind of symbiotic relationship where the hotel's passing business, the in-house AV companies then sharing money back with them, and the hotel's providing them an office and contacts and all these things like that. In return, the property has an intimate knowledge of everything, all that sort of stuff. And you can see how this kind of works. But the big thing to understand with pricing is these kickbacks that are going on. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you start to get into these 60, 70%, man, you're talking about a $1,000 projector, they're only making, $300 on it. Well, that means that for them to make their money that they needed to make to actually, take care of that projector, means they might have to charge 3 times more expensive in order to keep that going. So keep that in mind as it's coming to these like symbiotic relationships with these kickbacks. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to have to be a part of this, right? 70%, that's insanely high. No wonder they're charging so much. Well, as we talk about in our How to Remove In-House AV Restrictions guide, which we'll link down below, but also in past videos where we talk about hotel, negotiations with Wi-Fi and things like that, all this needs to be negotiated before you sign the contract. So if you are deciding that, hey, I want the ability to bring in a third-party AV company, you need to make sure that you're negotiating this out before you sign the contract. Otherwise, as we say, anything that happens negotiating after the contract is signed is actually called begging. So make sure that you negotiate this out beforehand. One important thing to know as well is we've talked to some in-house AV companies, they say that sometimes if you talk to the hotel and the AV company, these kickbacks can be adjusted on an event-by-event basis. Don't hold us to that because, again, it all depends on the property. Are they willing to work with you? Are they willing to, win your business? All that sort of stuff. But some of the times this can be, adjusted if need be. Again, though, it all has to happen before you sign your venue contract as well. Even before you sign your in-house AV contract, all of this needs to be negotiated out front. So that's a quick one. I just want to make sure you guys understand kind of how these kickbacks and commission structures work for the hotel sharing business with the in-house AV companies, and just something to keep in mind whenever you're looking to contract your next AV company for your event. So I'm curious to know if you have any stories at all when it comes to contracting AV companies and the relationships that you've had with them. I would love to hear that down below in the comments. Have you heard about any kickbacks? Have you had a good relationship with an in-house AV company? I want to hear that down in the comments below. Leave it up for us and tippity-tappity right down below. And if you really love this video, I'd love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click that bell notification so you get the notification right away when we post new Whiteboard Wednesdays and all of our awesome content as well. So that's how in-house AV commissions work. I don't have any idea what I'm talking about anymore. I need to stop and go get a chai latte. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and we'll see you next Wednesday on Whiteboard Wednesday.